All right, today we are having a look at Firebase Studio, which is Google's latest app to help you build apps. So essentially, it's kind of like Lovable or Bolt.new or Replit, which is a web-based application where you could just give it natural language instruction and it will build that for you. So you could say, hey, build me, a website or build me an app that does XYZ thing. And it goes and does that for you. But it's also kind of designed like Visual Studio VS Code, where you can actually edit the app itself and sort of see the live edits in the browser and then deploy it. So we're going to get started here. If you go to firebase.studio, you'll see it and you click try Firebase Studio. It is a brand new product, so it's still kind of like in beta version experimental. And when you click that, you'll get to this sort of screen where here you have your standard tell the AI what you want. And so you could just describe what you want here. As you can see some examples, an app that generates poems from photos, an app that helps me plan my day, so on. Now, these are very simple prompts. What I like to do when I'm building with AI is give it a really good prompt. And to do that, I use a reasoning model like Gemini 2.5 Pro, Claude 3.7, or ChatGPT o3. And I basically give it a very short description of what I want. And I have the app sort of ask me questions, or have the AI ask me questions and work with me to flesh it out a bit more. And then I ask you to create a product requirements document, a PRD. So in this case, I'm going to try building an app that has a database of restaurants in my city. And then when I go to the app, I'm just going to tell it what mood I'm in. Like, I'm feeling, I want like some sort of comfort food, or I want a cozy environment. And I'm just going to describe my vibe, and it's going to recommend a restaurant based on my mood versus based on the cuisine and stuff. So I'm asking it to build that kind of app. And so the way I create the PRD is I'm going to go use Gemini 2.5 Pro. So as you can see here, I'm in Gemini 2.5 Pro, and I've described this app to Gemini. And it's sort of writing the PRD. So here's a PRD, it's kind of like, what does the app do? What are the goals? Who's the target audience? What's the scope? So kind of core recommendation flow, that kind of stuff. Out of scope. So, this is good so that the AI doesn't go around building features that you don't really want right now. And kind of, like how does it work? User stories, details, data management, all of that. So it's built a really good, PRD. So what I'm going to do is just copy this entire PRD and head back to Firebase Studio. Okay, so back in Firebase Studio, I can now prompt it with this PRD. You'll see a couple of other options here. So there's create a new workspace. So you can start from a template if you are just starting a brand new project from scratch. So you can pick like a Next.js template, React template, HTML, whatever. If you're doing like AI or backend, those are other templates. I'm just going to go with a basic prompt here. Put the whole PRD in and click prototype with AI. So what happens now is it's going to build out the entire app, right? Based on that PRD, based on what it understands from it. It's first going to give me a little plan here. So you can see the little plan. There's going to be feature input, allows me to input my vibe. There's going to be some filters. It's then going to process my vibe and give me a recommendation. It's going to give me the restaurant's detail, and then it's going to provide an interface for us to input and manage restaurant data. I can actually edit this. I don't really want restaurant data management, so I'm going to delete that. And then it's giving me some style guidelines. I'm just going to keep the style guidelines. I have no idea about style myself, but yeah, I've edited a bit, and then it's like it's going through the plan again, and then recreating the style guidelines, I think. There we go. A bunch of new styles. And then I'm going to click prototype this app. So it's going to figure out on its own what kind of language to use, all that kind of stuff. And it's, as you can see on the left-hand side over here, it's just building everything. So all the pages is setting up the full thing, building everything. And then on the right-hand side, you can see here the little chat bar where I can talk to it and tell it, give it more instructions, and it makes those changes. So I'm just going to wait here until it builds the full app. So it's asking me here for a Gemini API key. And obviously because it's Google, I could just click auto generate and it generates this API key and stores it in my environment variables, which means I don't have to go and do any of that stuff. I don't need to go get a key, come here, paste it in, store it, save it, all of that. I just click, it generates it, it stores it in, and boom, I have the API now, right? So anytime it needs to use AI functions, it can just call the API without me having to sort of set that up, which is really cool. Now it's done. The first iteration of the prototype is ready. I can play with it here. So I'm going to describe my vibe as cozy, and I'm going to click get recommendations. And it's loading the recommendations here, and then boom, it's got this one recommendation for me: Ask for Luigi, which is a real restaurant, and Cozy Railtown restaurant with communal. So it's working, right? And I think like all of the data it has is probably just like, it's got a few examples in its database that it's using. And then if I wanted to build upon this more, I could add more restaurants, or I could just ask it to use the Google Maps API and pull restaurants in. So that's the prototype here. I can also go in and edit the code. So if I click that, you'll notice this sort of interface looks very familiar because it's basically VS Code. So you have your Explorer on the left-hand side here where you can look through all the documents. And then, on the right-hand side here, you've got kind of like your the actual code. So if I click on one of the documents here, once it opens up, this is my main page, and then you can see the code here, and I can go in and I can change the code. I also have Gemini on the right hand side here, so I can ask Gemini questions or ask it to generate some code, and I can put it in here. The interesting thing is this Gemini, which is in the code editor, doesn't actually see the code that's here. So like if I say, where is it pulling a restaurant data from? What it should be doing is looking through everything, because Cursor does this. The Cursor agent will look through all the code and look for it and find that. But here, I can't determine the exact source. So it's just making some educated guess, which is incorrect. But it actually isn't looking for the data. Now, so what I have to do is I actually have to go and sort of figure it out. I'm looking at recommendation list from the components. So let's go there. And then here's the recommendation list. It's loading the recommendation from somewhere. Import the restaurant from AI Flows Vibe Query recommendation. And so here, this is where it's got like a list of restaurants, pre-written restaurants, right? So it's like a fixed list here, and it's getting it from this list. So weird thing that Gemini can't figure this out, even though it created this, but this is a brand new instance of Gemini, separate from the Gemini that was building the app in the first place. Yeah. Anyway, what Google should do is make it so that this Gemini can see all the code and then make changes, but it can't do that, right? So if you want the AI to make changes, you have to go back to the prototyper, which you do by clicking here, switch back to the prototyper. So back here in the prototyper, I can then I can describe changes I wanted to make. So, I could be like, can you add 10 more restaurants, right? And then it'll go and it'll do it. It knows where the code is. It goes to that code, so you can see it's going to that page, and then it's just going to add a bunch more restaurants. And here we go. It's added Miku down here. It's adding a few others. And so it's just doing that, making the file changes. And when it's done, it will let me know. All right, so it's done that. It's added a bunch more restaurants. And then the only indication it gives me that it's done that is like this little check mark here. But I would have expected it to say, I've done it, here's what I've done, or like some summary of what it's done. But anyway, I'm going to try this again and see if it like gives me more recommendations, because it's added more in the back end, loading recommendations, and now it gives me a few more. So, and here's, you've got like a little match score, so vibe match score from, I assume, 0 to 1, with 1 being the best, and it's giving me this one again as the best, and then a few others. So app works. I can continue to build it with Gemini. I could ask it to change the design by describing what I want. I could ask it to add new features. I could say, I want to be able to favorite a thing. I want to have like a map image as well, so I can see where it is, all sorts of things. And then Really cool part again is when I'm done, I can hit publish right here. And it will actually create a hosting plan for me on Firebase on this app. So basically, Google has their own, Google Cloud platform. So you just like click next, you select a building account, and then once you've done that, it sets up your environment, ready to go, create a rollout, and I can publish my app. Now I can publish my app. It goes live to an actual link, and this is going to be available in just may take a few minutes apparently. Okay, so that's going to take a while, and while it does its thing and deploys it on the web as a public app, I'm going to ask it for one more thing. I'm going to say build a sign up, sign in flow using login with Google. And I'm curious to see if it could do this, because obviously being a Google product, it should have this kind of deeply integrated, because usually if you're trying to build this into a product, you need to go and set up a lot of stuff in the back end and create like a Google account and so on. So I want to actually see if it can kind of like do that on its own. And let's see, it looks like it's done. Oh, here we go. Okay, so the app is live. It's deployed the app. I'm just going to see if I can fix this error here. But yeah, okay, so that's what's happening. What's happening really is that you kind of need to go and create like a sort of a project in a different Google backend service in I guess in GCP or something, and say that you want to like allow people to sign in with Google and then get a key there and put it in here. So it's missing this whole thing, and it's not tightly coupled with that. So that's fine. But the cool thing again here is I can restore to the previous settings, because now this is broken. So I can go back to when it was not broken, and it'll roll back there. Meanwhile, we have deployed the app live. So if I click this button here, there should be a live link of my app here. So perfect. This is a live link on the app. Like you can go to this link, you watching this video on YouTube, you can go to the link, you'll see the app, it's running, up and running. Obviously it's not like a great app right now, but I can add more restaurants, I can add more features, I could just ask Google to do that, or Firebase Studio to do that, and I can like push it live. And so really cool to like go from natural language to a live app on the internet that other people can use. One other thing I want to mention is just to wrap up here. So it's great for if you just want to like describe in pure natural language and ask it to make changes for you or build an app for you. But when it comes to editing the code, it's not that great, because like you're kind of on your own there with the edits. When you click on the edit and go into editor mode, the AI chatbot that's there doesn't have any of the code as context, which is completely weird. It is how Cursor and Windsurf and all the others work. So I'm not sure why Google didn't do that, but they should probably do that. But once they do that, it would be an amazing app. Until then, I think I would probably still stick with my current workflow of using Gemini 2.5 Pro in the Gemini app, and then getting it to write code and then putting that into Cursor and working with Cursor and Gemini 2.5 Pro instead of using this. The other natural language to apps are Lovable, Bolt, New, and Replit, which would be closer comparisons to this in its current state. And I would still kind of use that. So anyway, that is it for Firebase Studio. Again, it is beta version, so I'm sure they're going to like iron out all of these kinks. But I like the fact that you can just deploy it onto Google Cloud with just one button. And then I would love to see it integrate closely with the rest of the Gmail Google Suite, so you can add Google authentication and log into your app, as well as improve the edit mode on this app. Go try it out yourself and let me know what you think of it. Let me know what apps or products you're building with it. Thanks for watching.